AI didn't mean layoffs, but liftoffs. In 2026, the companies winning trust aren't cutting headcount. They're upgrading skill sets and redeploying talent before fear takes hold. Welcome to the People Strategy Forum, where we turn disruption into leadership strategy. I'm Sam Reeve, your host and CEO of CompTeam, where we help organizations design people systems that attract, retain, and grow top performers. Today's topic is AI without layoffs: how to turn your workforce fear into upskilling and internal mobility. And our guest today is Marlene Cosain, HR Director at Abbey Connect, a company that operates at the intersection of people and automation every single day. So, Marlene has navigated the tension many organizations are facing: how to integrate AI tools without triggering fear, disengagement, or unnecessary workforce reduction. So, if you're an executive asking, how do we adopt AI without losing our culture or our best people, this conversation will give you the practical roadmap that you're looking for. So, welcome, Marlene. Can you tell us a little bit about your history there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually been with the company about 12 years. I'm going on 13. I think a fun fact about me is that I started straight out of high school. I started right at 18. Now you're going to do the math on how old I am, but I started at 18 and I really just like anyone else, I needed a job. I needed to make a living, and I just fell in love with the culture, with the people. Back then, there was about five of us. Now we grew the team to about 100. So it's just been such a pleasure being through every phase of that and every evolution of the company. For me, I think throughout the years, I've worked many different positions, worn many hats, but the people side of things is where I really shine. I really have a care for people and making sure that people have actionable solutions, that employees feel heard, that they feel taken care of. And what was really important to me throughout these transitions of the company is that our culture remained the same, if not better, and that we never lost sight of our people and what makes Abby so special as we grow.
Well, that's really impressive, starting when the company was at five and now growing it to over 100 people. So you're true founder level for sure. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, Abby, I'd love to dive into your four pillars of really AI adoption that you were talking about. So, internal buy-in, providing resources, communicating the vision, and turning fear into ownership. So, so as you were, so can you tell us a little bit about how the onset, or where you knew you had to take action in artificial intelligence and so forth? What was the trigger there that said, hey, we have to do something?
Yeah, absolutely. I think being Abby Connect, we've been in business for about 20 years. We had just seen stagnation. We saw market shifts. We knew that we had to do something different, and we weren't going to be able to scale and grow the company to what we had envisioned with live receptionist services and remaining in that space. So I remember our CEO came to a leadership meeting, and he's like, "We're going to build an AI receptionist." And the first thought, like anyone else in this company, is probably fear. When you run a receptionist company and you start talking about AI, then your frontline team immediately thinks, are we automating ourselves out of a job? Are you building something that's going to replace me? So we had a lot of conversations back and forth. And I think his conviction for where the market's going, where just the future of technology is going was so strong. You had to get on board. I knew we couldn't see it yet. We didn't know what that was going to look like for us or for the workforce, but it's kind of like the internet. It's a no-brainer. You have to hop on board. You have to be proactive. If not, you're going to be left behind. And I think that's how we've stayed in business for so long, is making sure that we could evolve and we can keep up with technology.
Yes, and so the technology is really good, and it's getting better all the time. And so I can understand that your employees felt this fear. It's like, oh, are we being replaced? I mean, should we really be engaged in this effort to potentially replace ourselves? I mean, there must have been a really good trust level between employees and the company.
Yes, for sure. I think that trust is what carried us through a lot of that, because it's hard to say 2 years from now when we build this AI receptionist, you're going to have more jobs, we're going to have more opportunities, we're going to bring you along for the road. And I'm sure some of the feedback is like, is it though? Is it
Yeah.
going to? How does that look like? Especially when our AI literacy when it came to our AI literacy wasn't so strong. So people didn't really know what AI was. So what they hear on the media, what they see online, it's scary. Nobody's talking about it in a positive way. So I think without that literacy, that's where we started off. And that's why we were so passionate about making sure that if we were going to evolve into this space, that we brought our people along. And part of that was making sure that we built courses and we educated them and we brought them along the journey so we could have those conversations with them and we can equip them in the future for the
Okay.
future.
Okay, and I know that was part of the, getting buy-in, which is your step one. But was there a dialogue or a conversation that leadership had with everyone to kind of explain the initiative, or is that how things kind of establish the buy-in?
Yeah, a lot of conversations. We're very communicative and very
Mm.
transparent overall. And I think that's a great way to lead. And it's why we have so much trust. Anyone can basically ask anything, and we'll make sure that they know why we made decisions and why certain things are happening. So we, first, we named the fear. We understood how that could come across fearful. Second, we made sure that we told people early on, this is what we're doing. That way, that was a conversation, like, do we tell them now or do we tell them once we develop it? We just felt like that was the wrong thing to do because if 2 years later we're like, "Hey, we built this thing that we didn't tell you about," now they're gonna be extra fearful. So if anything, we just, had continuous conversations of, "This is where we're going, this is where we're going, these are the updates on development. Now we're in beta testing, this is the feedback that we're getting. This is why you're so special. This is why you are still contributing. This is how you're gonna fit into this future." And I think that really helped.
Yeah, so the big piece, as you mentioned in step one, is making it real or be real with the situation. But the next is really make it fun. It sounds counterintuitive in a serious business environment where people are thinking about their jobs, but why does playfulness accelerate adoption?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially when it comes to AI and when it came to our business model, it's you have to let people experience it in something that's low stakes. So at first, we're like, figure out how to have AI give you a better workout plan. Figure
Mm.
out how to have AI, create your meal plan or plan your itinerary. So we made it fun that way. But just at our core, we found that having fun makes it less fearful and people are less afraid to try something. So first we removed it from their work and we're like, go try AI out in the world and see how it helps you. Then we saw light bulbs like, oh my gosh, it did that so quickly. Oh my goodness, that saved me so much time. But two, we did different initiatives too. Like we had a AI bingo that we created and we actually rewarded people if they created the whole card. I think they got like $400, the first
Wow.
two winners.
Yeah.
We gave them extra PTO. So just anything that we could use to motivate them to take the courses, to try different prompts, to have conversations at their huddles or at work, things like that. It made it fun. It made people want to do it because, again, they also have a full time job, which is our reception service. So for them to want to do anything extra or outside of that, especially for something that's fearful, we're like, let's make it fun. Let's reward them. Who doesn't want $400?
Right, for sure. And I think this is a good challenge for our listeners that are listening in right now onto this great pointer. What is one low stakes AI experiment that you could introduce into your organization that will make things fun for people and help with adoption? So I would challenge people to do that. And if you come up with a great one, put it in the comments below and share it with your colleagues. All right.
Yeah,
So,
I think,
oh, go
sorry
ahead,
if I
Marlene.
can interject. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think maybe that's where we go wrong. We're like, let's teach them how to use it in their workflow. Let's show them how it's going to help them write an email better. They're
Mm.
scared. They're
Yeah.
scared now. They're realizing, oh, this thing can do it better than me, possibly faster than me. It is going to replace me. Show them how it's going to work in something low stakes and something fun. You're creating that buy in, and now they found how it helps them in their personal life, then add it into their professional life. It again in something low stakes, and then start building on top of that.
Right, and there's I mean, if we just and here's another thing that just be real, right? I mean, who's in a job out there that there's not something that they don't like in their job? I mean, they wish that they could hand off to somebody else. There's always something like that. So, people, I mean, sometimes when we think about, having ourselves operate better in this new world of automation, just think about, hey, what could I hand off that I really don't like? And what are the things that I could be more strategic in or enjoy my work more, so I think that's something that we can think about when we're using AI. So the next thing that on your list here, you have step two is like really providing some resources. So can you tell us on how you entered into that phase of the adoption?
Yes, absolutely. We signed on to an LMS, so we got a learning management system, and we really proved ROI with that because we wanted to make sure that our staff was literate, especially when it came to AI. That way, it could help once we launched the AI receptionist, they could step into roles that were tailored for them. So we started at the very beginning, just AI foundations. What is AI? What is bias? What is terminology that you're going to hear about AI? How does it work? How does it communicate? And we got the staff to take that. That took a few months. And then from there, we leveled it up a little bit and it went into agentic AI. Then we went into prompt engineering. So just taking it step by step and taking employees through this journey. And it's really nice because we've been able to see what interests people about AI. Some people really like the prompting of it, some people really like the QAing of it, and that really helped us nail down, okay, then how can they help in the positions that we're going to create, and how does their experience make sense there and their education make sense? So.
Well, I love what you're saying because you're saying, over the past 6 months, a lot of leaders think that this is, we'll provide training. It's a one and done. And that's not true. I mean, there's certain steps and plus things keep on evolving, right? It's like a constant learning process almost every day. And so are there, in your training that you've provided, did you find that there's some foundational capabilities that every employee should develop regardless of their role and stage in acknowledgement there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, where we started is the history of AI, but I think machine learning bias is important.
Mhm.
AI misinformation, how to prevent that bias. Um, what else is there? Prompt engineering, I think, is important, especially for our line of industry with our AI receptionist. That's extremely important. So yeah, there's a lot of different topics when it comes to AI, agentic AI. I think it just depends what your workforce is in, what you're trying to get them to do, what you're trying to get them to learn.
Now, developing these different learning programs sounds expensive. Was it expensive for you?
Yeah, the LMS was quite an investment, but we've really seen the payoff, especially if our commitment is to make sure that our staff grows. We don't
Mhm.
want to do layoffs. We don't want to be that company that replaces their humans. That's just not who we are at our core. Our core has always been for the past 20 years that we promote internally, we elevate our own staff. So we really put our money where our mouth is and followed through on our values for our employees. And I think that's where the trust also came into play. They trusted us because they saw us implementing trainings, putting in resources, paying for the things like the bingo, having roundtables. All of that takes company time, it takes labor. The systems that we have in place that we have to pay for definitely is a cost, but I think it's well worth it.
And obviously this has worked out well for you, but have you been tracking certain metrics for success in this program as you were going along?
Yeah, at first it was completion rates. We just wanted to make sure that we had completion rates. Now we're in the phase of retention when it comes to retention and application of that. Also, being able to create positions and make sure that we have people and talent science within the company, making sure that we can promote our own people into these positions. So we've been able to do that successfully, and our employees have been successful in these roles for about a year now, I believe. So that's what we're tracking.
Great. Now the next step you have is communicate, and I know this is really a part of almost every step. Of course, you're communicating and so forth through the process, but you mentioned roundtables. Can you tell us a little bit more of how the roundtables really were a part of this?
Yes, roundtables are super important. At this point, we're doing them, if not monthly, quarterly. A roundtable is where our CEO, we all gather in the training room. Our CEO is there, the executive leadership team is there, and then we bring in pretty much every employee that we can. Our receptionists answer 24/7, so we can't pull them all off the phones at all times. But we try to make sure that we have someone from every department there, if not everyone. And at first, it just started talking, it was just talking points about AI, our vision, where we're going. I think it's important to communicate the vision, to repeatedly tell our staff and let them know that they are our focus and that we will take care of them, we will invest in them. And then creating space for questions, creating space. What we found is they're very transparent. So they stated their fears. They let us know what they were afraid of. They asked questions like, what should I learn? What positions do you envision? How do you see the company growing with our AI receptionist now that we have AI? How could I be learning it better? So it created a great dialogue for us to be able to communicate the vision, let them know that we appreciate them and that they're going to be the center of a lot of the decisions that we make.
And there's one other thing as far as this, open communication, and a lot of this is around the concept of curiosity. How
Mhm.
to basically, engage your workforce so they're asking questions and so forth. Now, before you did mention that you found that when you're doing training, you found that certain people were more curious in certain elements, or were more interested in certain elements. But did you find any, or did you take any action to stimulate curiosity in people? Because I know that sometimes when we see something new, some people really jump in because they're really curious by nature, but then others were like on, oh, I don't know, I'm not really an early adopter. So did you do anything there?
For curiosity, through those roundtables, yeah, I'm making sure that we have a curious bunch. I will tell you that. So just curious, and even the sense of how many clients do we have now? What is business looking like? They'll ask us things like that, which is fine. But it, oh, roundtables are such a great forum for that because everybody gets to hear the answer. Everybody gets to then jump in. So what we found is one person asked something that triggered another curious thought within someone else, and we were able to just have really open discussions. So I think throughout the roundtables, naturally, there was a lot of curiosity there. We also empowered our middle managers as well throughout the process, not necessarily in the roundtables, but just in general when communicating change. And we encouraged them to talk about AI in their weekly huddles, to at their one-on-ones, things like that. That way we could spark curiosity in that way as well.
I think this is one place that I see a lot of organizations going wrong. I mean, the old model, of course, with doing communications and so forth, is saying, okay, we're going to have that town hall, where
Mhm.
there's that top-down communication. But your concept of using roundtables really kind of equals the playing field, and people are they come. This the name in itself says that, hey, we're going to have dialogue as equals. And
Mhm.
so I think that's a great win. So thank you for bringing that to our leaders here.
Of course, I think an email's not enough. I think that's what I've seen in other organizations. They send out an email. I want you to be using AI. It's important. That's not enough. You get in there, get on the ground, talk to them face to face if you can, if it's possible for your business. Maybe that's an investment for you. Like the LMS was an investment for us. Maybe the investment is making sure that you have that face to face interaction, and that just goes with communicating, being real, and making sure that people feel like there isn't decision makers sitting in some office far away from them making these decisions about their future and not helping them, equipping them, and bringing them along the journey.
So the next phase we have here is, of course, turning that fear into ownership. And this is where of course, after these town halls, I imagine you've got a lot of great ideas for new workflows and how to enhance those workflows. So what was the stage, or how did you take that dialogue and turn it into action?
Yeah, of course. A lot of the ownership came within taking the courses. Like I said, that has to be done either worked into their workday or done outside of the workday. So taking ownership about their future is important. One of my key recommendations to people that said that they were afraid of I said, great, learn it. If you learn it, you're going to be less afraid of it because when it comes down to the workforce, when it comes down to hiring, if someone came down to having the same skill sets as you and the only difference is that they know AI, who would you choose as the hiring manager? the person that has that one extra skill set. So learn it, you'll be less afraid of it, and now you'll be more empowered. So, really, either making space, making time for them to take the courses, or encouraging them to find the space to take those was really important. Anytime anyone had an idea about a workflow or something that they wanted to create, an agent, a chatbot, things like that, making sure they bubbled it up to management. And then we could review how that worked with their workflow, the security of it all, and if we can implement it into their day to day.
I like it that you had that that your managers had that important dialogue to, of when people were fearful around that, and say, hey, we need to lean into this. It's not a compliance or AI user compliance, as you're saying, okay, you have to use this. It's more of like, think of this as a new mindset that we all had to get around. It's something that is going, that's something that can help us all if we're taking active ownership in it. So I love how you took the leadership there. So did and were there any kind of signals? I mean, so you I guess I think that you mentioned that there were some people that embraced it, some people that were concerned about it, and that you had conversations around those that were concerned about it, and you had that change of mindset. But is there anything else that you did to really create that AI growth mindset, or that native, being native in AI as a company, uh, that you can share with leaders here?
Yeah, I think our CEO, it all comes down to communication. He was just very communicative all the time, sharing our excitement, sharing where we are with our developments, sharing how we use it in our workflows. Other than that, really encouraging people that were curious to step up, to raise their hand and saying, hey, this is where I see myself, or hey, I want to learn more about that. Right now, I'm actually building with our Director of Learning and Development an AI fellowship program. And that's where our employees can go in and actually build their own AI receptionist. So they can put what they've learned about prompt engineering and QAing into practice. And they're going to build their own workflow, their own AI receptionist. So that's something that I'm really excited to launch because everything else up to this point has been learning, videos, things like that. This is going to be the application piece of it that I'm really excited to see how successful it is and what it helps them with.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that sounds like an excellent program. So thank you for
Thank you.
sharing. So the
Hmm.
and for our listeners out there, of course, I mean, you're hearing about Marlene has all these great ideas, and I know that many of you listening in probably have workflows or haven't even started with AI adoption. So what I would challenge is think about what workflows you could redesign this quarter, so every employee sees AI as a benefit, something that they can work with, and it's not a threat. So I think that is an important way forward. So, Marlene, as we kind of wrap up our discussion, I mean, when you think about all of what you've spoken about, the different steps of AI adoption, what are the key things that you think that leaders out there that should be thinking about, that were once in your or that are starting out where you started in AI a number of months ago?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing is communicate that vision. It's so important for people to know where the company's going, why it's important for them to learn AI, and from there, put resources in place where you can educate them. Even if you don't have an LMS, don't let that stop you. What can you create within the tools that you have? We could use PowerPoint, we could use Word, you could use conversations. Find someone that could really spearhead that for you and for your organization. Have culture advocates, have people that can walk around the company and talk about how AI helped them. It started as little as that. It wasn't everybody hearing from me or from the CEO, like AI is the future. They heard that, but who they believed the most was the person that sits next to them at their cubicle. It's the person that they sit with in the break room. If you can impact them and then they start influencing everybody else, that's how you create change. So find out who your influencers are, teach as many people as you can, answer as many questions as you can. Don't roll off their fear, don't roll your eyes at it, name it. Explain why their fear makes sense and why and how you're going to help them towards the future.
I was going to say that that's golden. I mean, finding those key stakeholders, those influencers across the organization that can be kind of those cheerleaders that go out there and help with adoption, take that fear away. Boy, you've really done some great things there, Marlene. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing. So, as for our listeners out there, as we know, buy-in doesn't happen automatically. It's engineered through honesty, structured learning, and consistent communication, invisible ownership. So when leaders introduce AI thoughtfully, starting small and then supporting learning and then empowering growth, fear transforms from into basically forward momentum. So I think Marlene's really showed us a path here that we can adopt in many organizations. So once again, Marlene, thank you so much for sharing your success in AI adoption and how we can really truly turn this automation technology into something that can help people move up to the next level and really take hold of their careers and enjoy their life and the new things that AI automation can bring.
Thank you.
Yes. And so for our listeners out there, is this if this conversation sparks some ideas, please ensure that you subscribe and rate and share this episode with one of your colleagues that needs help in AI adoption. And this can definitely show their way. So, Marlene, do you have anything that you're looking forward to this year as you go along in 2026?
Yes, if you haven't been up to date with Abbey Connect, we actually just launched our San Francisco Innovation Hub. So we're now hiring in San Francisco. We're really excited to tap into the talent market there, and we have a lot of great things in store when it comes to the company.
Wow. Yeah. So, and it sounds like there's Abby's just doing a lot of growing, and I mean, if of course, just in the things that you were telling me about as far as how you took this initiative and really took control of it, took power into it. I mean, it's just that the culture seems like it's just a wonderful place to work. So,
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing your journey, and I really appreciate your time today, Marlene.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, for all those listening in to the People Strategy Forum, we'll see you next week. All right, take care. All right, Marlene, we're all clear.